Hey up there, it's me, your crotch. My living conditions down here are deplorable. The itch and burn are too much. Scrub me with medicated Fungi Cure Wash when you shower and say hasta la vista to jock itch. Get Fungi Cure Wash at Walmart and Riday. Do it now!
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey kids, I almost said that it was Wednesday. Welcome to my world, right? Maybe it was too much drinking or too much cooking or a little bit of both. We all lived and we all survived. Hi, I am so excited I cannot even stand it. There's like 18 people on my show today. No, I'm kidding. There's only 3. But there's 3 very magnanimous people, and we have a short amount of time and a lot of ground to cover. So we're going to start off with the lovely, the talented, the fiddle-playing / kick-ass girl that she is. Ilana Katz Katz is going to be first. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to be speaking to the actual festival individuals. First from riday Bradenton, we've got Johnette Isham, and then, of course, we'll follow up and round it off with Paul Benjamin. So, without further ado, let's get on the line and start talking to Ilana first.
Hi.
Hello there. Hi. I had to do my 30-second spiel and take a little breath, and I'm a little nervous, so forgive me. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very nervous because I'm interviewing you. I've been listening to your music. I've been looking at your face. You're very overpowering in the best way. You're so cute. You're just so little.
Oh, thank you. Oh, my gosh.
You're quite welcome. You're like little and cute and dainty, and I'm watching you play in all these various different places, and I'm thinking to myself, I get to have her all to myself for a whole hour. So thank you. I'm very blessed. I'm very honored. I have a lot to ask you. So
okay,
I want to
well,
talk
I'm so
about,
excited to be here. So, okay.
Oh,
Yay.
thank you. It's like we're in the same room, but not in the same room, and eventually we will be in the same room, but you're going to learn about
yes.
that. We're going to talk first about you. I always like to do, when I do my interviews, I kind of do everything well-rounded. I like everybody to know that there's a personal side to you as well as a professional side to you. So the first thing I want to do is, can you tell everybody, I know the story behind your name, but it's kind of funny because when I introduce people, I'm like, oh, this is Ilana Katz Katz. And then when I asked Kim about the interview, she's like, yes, it's Katz Katz. I'm like, what do you mean Katz Katz? So tell everybody why you have the exact same name twice.
Okay, so my maiden name was Ilana Katz Levinson. Katz was my mother's maiden name, and it was my middle name. And then I married a Katz, so I dropped Levinson, and I love cats. And
yes, that's right.
Yeah, so to add a little irony to it yet again, I'm now working with my dear friend, musician and producer, Barry Levinson. So I've got Levinson back in my life. But Ilana Katz Katz is my legal name, and my mother always used her middle name. Like she always was all 3 names. So,
oh my gosh, how
good.
cool is that? That is absolutely awesome, as a matter of fact. Now, if I want to correctly quote this, you have 2 cats right now. Is that correct? Boris.
You know what?
Boris
We lost one. We lost one last year,
no.
so we're down to 1. And we tried to bring another in, and he said make that go away right now. So we're just down to 1
no.
rescue cat. He's 16. His name is Boris, and he's on the back of both of my records. He's lovely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
so
sorry about that. Yeah, I did not know that. And I thought I had read something about that. Someone did an article with you, and I think you had said that there were 2 at one time. And so I thought,
usually, yeah.
Okay. But we do want to double check. Warren is the only husband, yes? We just want to make sure there's the one husband.
That I know of, yes. Warren is my one and only, almost 24 years, so yes.
Oh, that is wonderful. So now I always like to ask this question of musicians, because you are a married musician. Tell me how he has an effect on, or does he have an effect on you? Obviously, he does in a personal realm, but from the professional side of things, I have some musicians that play together or some that are married, and they say, oh, my God, they have such a profound effect, and just because we're married or whatever, does he play a part in your overall being a better musician? Obviously, we assume a better woman automatically.
I would say he doesn't have anything directly to do with my music, but he does.
Okay.
He loves music, and he's happy that I'm happy doing music, and but he doesn't play music with me. He comes to some of my shows, but
sure.
Other than that, that's kind of that, and it works well.
Gotcha. Now, he is not the creative type as well, meaning that he's not a musician, or is he in the creative realm at all whatsoever, or no?
Oh, I would say he's quite creative, but in a different realm. He did play the drums for many years, but he is an engineer, and engineers are very, very creative. And he is very creative in many ways, and so design-wise, with all kinds of things. He's a really interesting guy, but yes.
How lovely. That's so sweet. We like that. We definitely like that. Okay, now, as I understand it, and this just kills me. When I saw the statistic, I thought to myself, I have to ask her about this. One of the things that I know about you is that you're a very, very avid runner, and I used to do 2 miles a day myself, as a matter of fact. But you've actually done the big leagues now, right? Was it triathlon or marathons that you've done before?
No, I've done. I've run 3 marathons. I think I have one more in me. Where marathons are really, really hard. They don't get easier.
I bet.
But I do. Like I run probably 5 days a week when I can. Right now I'm running just like I ran 4 miles today. That's like not a big run. But yes, I love running, and I call it nature's Prozac. It keeps me happy.
That is really, really cool. I like that very much, actually. And the thing that I found interesting was, and I know this might sound like a dumb question to you because I have no musical ability whatsoever. I can write, I can do all sorts of other things, but I cannot play anything whatsoever. So here's my question. Whenever I'm watching you, 9 times out of 10, you're usually standing while you're performing. So the one thing, and maybe it's a dummy question, but it doesn't seem like that. If you enjoy running so much, where in the heck are you even having any kind of form of energy to do this? Because I'm thinking if she plays for 2.5 hours, she does this regularly all week, where's all that energy coming from? So you must have like a great diet or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my husband calls me like a jackrabbit. Like I am always, how some people are, if you've got stairs in your house, they're like, oh, I left it, upstairs. I don't want to go up there. I'm like, oh, it's upstairs. I'll go get it. I have a lot of energy. So I love to run. I love to, move. I'm a doer. I'm definitely a doer, not a sitter.
I gotcha. Okay, fine. So this means that you're active quite a bit. And obviously, folks, if you've never taken a look at her, she's just got this cute little hourglass figure. It works so well for you. I don't know if you look at yourself.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't mean to be facetious, but no.
It's
how we don't look at ourselves, and then you look at somebody else, and then you're just like, oh, look at her. Because it's not just in how you present yourself. It's the package, meaning that the way you dress, how you hold your instrument, and then the way that you stance, the actual stance that you have when you're out there. I observe these things when I interview people, and I noticed that, and I thought to myself, she's just so daintily put together. So no wonder you're in such good shape. You're running your ass off all the time. Note to
I'm
self,
moving around a lot,
I can get less fat. Exactly. So now I know how to get less fat. Just start running around all the time.
There you go.
So wonderful. And I know very recently, because now it's the end of November, so about a little over a month ago or so. So how did we celebrate our birthday? Because we're another year older, and I'm not going to say how old. We'll just say you're another year older, unless you want to reveal that.
I am so proud to say I am 50. When people say, oh, 50 is a new 40, 50 is a new 30, I'm like, 50 is 50, and for me it's better than 40 and better, and I'm happy to be 50. So
really,
just 50 is 50. Yes.
Okay. Now, I have a very interesting question because in 3 years I'm going to turn 50, and I am like you. I'm thinking I'm going to jump off a bridge because my life is over. But I like this attitude. So tell me, what gives you this extra incentive to think, yes, 50 is going to be great and this is awesome, instead of, well, some of us that are dreading this? I guess what's different for you now at this stage of life than before? Because I think that's kind of instrumental to talk about.
Wow. Well, I know you've read some of my interviews, so I'm not going to tell my whole life story. I'll just say, without getting into a lot of detail, that a lot of my earlier years, I had a lot of depression. I had a lot of difficulties from where I grew up, a lot of screaming, and it took me a long time to get over that. And I was 40. I started playing in the subway almost 8 years ago, and I am now, playing music, and writing, and all my dreams are coming true. And sometimes people are late bloomers. I mean, I think Julia Childs started her first TV show when she was like 56 or something. So there is great hope, but you never know what's around the corner. So I'm a very hopeful person and having a good time.
And that's interesting that you brought that up, because that's one of the things I like to talk about on my show is if you could explain this to the listening audience, because oftentimes the people that I listen to are either younger, getting into a business, or at my age or your age, let's say, and they're starting off and saying, I want to make something happen. Talk a little bit about, a lot of people have just flat-out apprehension or fear or tension. I'm too old. I had my chance. I could have done this. I could have done that. How did you mentally prepare yourself for the long haul and say, you know what, these are my dreams. I'm going to do this. I don't care how old I am. How do people kind of get past that fear or stigma, would you, for lack of a better term? What would you advise them to do if they want to find their true course? How do they do that?
Well, I think that if being afraid doesn't really help you. It's not going to help you get anywhere. And so for me, I just think one foot in front of the other and, one thing at a time. And instead of thinking, oh, my God, maybe this will happen or maybe I want to do this, just think, I like playing music. I'm just going to play music. And then, I just decided I was happy as the happiest clam in the world playing music in the subway. That was like the end all for me. Like I had, oh, my God, this is it. So find joy in what you do. And if you don't enjoy it, then you're not doing the right thing. So find something you love to do, and then you'll find joy in the moment and in every little step. And then it's like, then you see a meadow in front of you that you didn't see was there. And that is how I feel. I cannot believe how much fun I'm having, who I get to play with. I cannot believe it. And I know there's more because I can feel it.
Oh, definitely. And you touched upon something there that I've said for a long, long time, which is, and I think you might concur with this thought, which is you're not really living your life unless you carry a passion for everything you do and everyone that's in your life, the people you love, the people that you touch. If you don't wake up every morning and you're not excited when you're doing this, that tells you something. That tickle in the belly is what I call it, I think. And I don't know, again, if you watch yourself perform, but I have watched you perform, and I can see the inner beam inside of you. I don't know if you can notice that or not. Sometimes we all can't.
I do perform. When I perform, I put everything into, what I do. So as people say, play as if it's your very last note. I really do that. I like to be very present, and I enjoy it very much. And I enjoy sharing music, and I see that other people enjoy it too. I will just say, in terms of what you said, I totally agree with you about you have to have passion in your life. But if along with that, you have to work hard. Like a lot of my time is spent, booking things or connecting with people or responding to people. So people should know that there's a whole package of what one needs to do often to make those dreams. You can't just sit there and dream it. You have to do the fun part. Maybe, for me, that's music and painting and writing, but there's also, the legwork, and to kind of embrace that as well and know that it's all, do it all and more good things will come. But yes, I absolutely do love what I do. And I'm exhausted especially after playing in the subway. I am so exhausted, but very happily exhausted.
Oh, you bet. You betcha. In fact, you brought up the next thing. It's a perfect segue into what I was talking about. You obviously I know that you have a huge love for street performing. I myself am the exact same way. I am half of me is here, half of me is in New York City, so I'm in the subway all the time when I go there. And I have literally stood there and I have tipped and I have watched and I have referred people and said, go down. I love going down into a subway and seeing an actual performer play or stand there and talk to a crowd and perform for them. It's so grassroots, for lack of a better term. And so I guess what I want to ask you is this, because I know I'm in a world where not everyone appreciates a street performance. So I kind of want you to talk a little bit about the difference you find, not just in location per se, because it's obvious, it's a subway, we get it. But some people can't appreciate the art unless it's in a specified location. So I want you to talk a little bit about how enriching or why it's so enriching for you to be a street performer, because I don't think people really get what that really means.
Well, I do. I think, first of all, I'll just say a lot of performers I know say, "Oh, I want to do that," or that's so neat that you do that. And I think, well, the barrier to entry to playing the subway is a lot lower than trying to get a gig at BB King's Club in New York City. So it's not everybody's cup of tea, and there's nothing wrong with that. For me, I feel very at home there, and I don't worry about maybe like some people say, well, how do you deal with people ignoring you? I don't even think about people ignoring me. I know that when I'm down there, everybody who comes down there did not expect to see me unless they saw me on Facebook and came down. But they started their day thinking, I got to take the subway to get somewhere, and I'm a surprise of music. And I'm not somebody who's played with this one or that one. I am just a person. I'm a conduit of music, and I am trying to make people's days better. And people dance, and I have a million stories, and I just don't worry about the people who I don't touch, because there are a lot of people who reach out to me, and it's I feel like $1 million bill every time I leave the subway.
Oh, see, that's so amazing. And that's sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you've also done actually more structured in different locations, various places. Just tell me the one major difference you notice between playing a booked gig in an actual location versus street performance.
Well, I don't know why I feel so at home there. I just feel I'll tell you one big thing, and it's not that you can't play at a venue and be literally on the same level as people, but when you play on the platform in the subway, I'm at the same level as they are, and it's I feel more connected. So people will come up to me and talk to me, I think, that they in a way that they wouldn't if I was on even a raised stage. So it's more human to human. It just feels very, I'll just say, more connected, and that I feel like I'm all about connecting with people.
Gotcha.
Does that answer your question?
No, it totally does, as a matter of fact. It's like I said, sometimes when people are listening in, I think that sometimes they see what they don't see, and perhaps it's because I've been an artist for such a very long time. I don't know that sometimes people take enough time to really look at the art within an art. Like you walk into an art gallery, what I see and versus what you might see and somebody else sees is different. Just like somebody who walks into a subway trying to get from point A to point B, somebody might look at you and say, oh, why are these people down here playing in the subway, and it's in my way, and da-da-da-da-da, whereas other people are probably on their last limb, more depressed than life itself, crying their eyes out, and all of a sudden this beautiful woman is standing here playing for 4 minutes. So I guess a lot of it's perception.
Yeah, it's mostly it's incredible. I have all kinds of stories, but mostly it is really a joyful experience for me, and I think for other people as well.
Absolutely, definitely. One of the things that I find really cool about you, get this, folks, she actually took chocolate chip cookies to a venue that she played at. How kick butt is that? Do you take chocolate chip cookies to every venue you play?
Okay, so
like,
that
cool
started. Okay, I love to bake, but if I eat everything I bake, then I'd be as big as a house, and I don't need to eat it all. So just one time when I was playing at this, I do these little festivals between the Newport Jazz Festival and Folk Festival. It's called Bridge Fest, and so I play during that festival. I think the last 3 years, maybe 4 years, and I think the first year I just said I'm gonna bring cookies, and I brought them with a sign, and it's just so fascinating how people react to my sign of these are free cookies for you to enjoy with my music. Have a nice day, and people are just skeptical, but then some people are like, really? I'm like, yes, take them. And I only do it at that location. So I end up playing there maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and I always bring fresh cookies. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so it's not like every gig. I apologize, folks, if I got you excited.
No, but I mean, no, it's so much fun. I love it, and people love it, so.
Oh, you betcha. I have a friend, as a matter of fact, or we had a friend, I was going to say he's not doing it anymore, but Cookie Dave, and we literally call him Cookie Dave because he takes cookies to every gig he goes to. So he'll travel to see band, and he brings cookies all the time, which I thought is so neat. I like that. It stands out.
It makes
you different.
Yeah.
Amen to that one.
Yeah.
See what I mean? This is one of the reasons I wanted to interview you, because you're little, and it's like a powerhouse of this little person that's got all this neat stuff in her, and it's just, God, she just excites me to no end. Sorry, I sound like I have a fan club crush on you, and we won't do that. So the next thing I want to talk about, which is, of course, what you play, which is the fiddle. I'm not going to lie. I am 100% ignorant about what a fiddle does. I've heard people play the fiddle before. So I have a couple of generic questions about this, which is the fiddle more challenging? Like, for instance, my son is now learning how to play the violin. And I'm here to tell you I'm learning it's not an easy instrument to learn. So if you could maybe talk about the degree of difficulty as it relates to playing the fiddle. And then second of all, was this your instrument of choice, or did you start off with something else and then develop skill for the fiddle?
Well, I will first say that the fiddle and the violin are the same instrument, and usually people ask me that question. It's the same instrument, and the fiddle is a style of, and a lot of people in orchestras will call their violins fiddle. The style of music I play compared to classical music, I have a flatter bridge, which is where the strings go over the bridge. It's flatter, so it's easier for me to hit more strings at once. So I just want to point that out.
Okay.
As far as it's the only instrument I played. In 1970, my dad went to a garage sale and bought the violin that I mostly play when I perform for $5 at a garage sale. $5. And so
God.
that was, but I loved it. I loved it from the beginning, but I didn't really like playing classical music. I was in the orchestra, and I just always wanted to play outside the notes on the page. As far as the difficulty of the instrument, it's the only thing I play. Many people have told me it's considered the most difficult instrument because to play it in tune, your fingers have to be in a very precise location. But like a lot of things, I don't walk around thinking, oh my God, this is a hard instrument, just like I don't walk around thinking, oh my God, what if I get writer's block? I just think, I'm just going to play this, and I'm going to practice this thing. And so I think it is not an easy instrument. I've spent, more than 10,000 hours and more than 20,000 hours practicing, but a little bit at a time. And I think it is to master anything and to master any musical instrument and a style of music, it's never ending, and that's why you have to love it and just keep going with it. So it's a zillion hours, which I am happy to have spent and will continue to do so.
Sure.
It's not easy.
Of course. Of course.
But
I imagine not. And I watch my son, and I'm like, okay, I see. And he's only 10, of course, so he's just learning now, and he is kind of an on and off. He has an on and off love affair with it. Like, I really want to play, and then all of a sudden it's, this is hard, and I don't want to practice. He's not disciplined enough yet, and I don't know if it's just his age, and that will come over time, or, some people say the violin is, some people will tell me it's either for you or it's not for you, meaning that you'll learn at some point in time if you're matched perfectly or not. So I guess that's my question to you is, can an instrument be matched to you, or do you match to it, or at what point in time do you know when you're investing your time in something that you're connected to or that you should be connected to? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Well, I'm going to tell you my secret, and everybody's listening, and you can tell your son my secret of practicing. But first I'll say that if you love an instrument, you will connect with it, and you have to be dedicated to connecting to it. And if you're passionate about it, then that's not a big deal at all. You just can't stop thinking about it and listening and playing music. Here's my secret that my friend who had a farm and 3 kids and was so busy told me about his practicing. I said, you keep getting better. He said, Ilana, my secret is that I have my instrument out all the time, and I practice 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. So I never say, oh, I don't have a half an hour or hour to practice. Because that stops people a lot of times, I believe, thinking, oh, well, I don't have enough time to really practice. If you just keep chipping away at it, a few scales or one song, even once a day, you'll get better. And so it doesn't have to be so daunting. And then you'll be, also if you play more frequently, you'll be more connected to that instrument. If you play every day or even 5 days a week, 10 minutes a day, you may find yourself more connected with that instrument than if you played an hour twice a week. Does that make sense?
Look at that. It totally does, as a matter of fact. And like I said, I see professionals play. I have a dear friend in Milwaukee here that I watch that plays and was teaching my son for a little bit. And I've tried to tell my son, too, sometimes patience and persistence pay off. I mean, at a certain point, we all know we can recognize, hey, you know what, I'm not good at this or whatever have you. But sometimes I think if you just learn to apply that passion that you have while having some patience and persistence to see if it actually will pan out, I think has something to do with that, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And I also want to make sure that I want to ask about this because I imagine, and I'm having an issue with this with myself lately, anytime that you're using your hands extensively for any kind of thing that you do, like in this particular case, I imagine because you're playing and practicing so much, how do you, in essence, if you want to call it this, train your hands, so to speak, or what sort of things do you do to keep them in shape to where you're not miserable? Because I can imagine, I mean, I'm having huge muscle issues right now myself because of overusage. How do you keep yourself well maintained and still able to do your art?
Well, I get a massage once every 2 or 3 weeks. That's one thing. And it has to be the right person for you and your needs. I have somebody I've been going to for a long time. And stretching, you could look up probably on YouTube hand stretches. And once in a while I need some acupuncture. But I believe when you learn how to play an instrument or whatever you're doing without tension in your body, you don't have so many problems necessarily. So, but if you do have a problem, if you do have like a problem with your muscles, it's good to take care. Try massage and acupuncture and get it under control. Because like once in a while, I do have something. I start to feel my hands tight or something, and I just pull back a little bit, and it's listening to your body, and then it won't get bad. That's a piece of it.
Oh, definitely so. Because like I said, I mean, I just was devastated. I went to my therapist. I've been seeing a number of doctors, and I've been a professional writer for 20-some years. So, these are my tools. So when your tools stop working, and now I'm losing strength in my arms, and that's scaring me. And I was at the therapist the other day, and she said, listen, she said, I can rehab you all you want, but here's the bottom line. You're going to keep overusing them all the time. You're going to write for hours on end. No matter what I do, it's never going to change. And so I guess, it's life modification. It's coming to the realization that you can't write 12 hours a day anymore, 10 hours a day anymore. You have to learn to have a good discipline and rest, I guess. Rest is always difficult for those of us that are passionate, isn't it? Because doesn't it drive you nuts like when you're not doing it, what you love?
Oh, yes. But I will say, you said modification. It does drive me crazy when I can't do what I want to do. You may find, as a writer, that you may need to, there's a great voice recognition software. Like I'm not saying, there's always a solution to everything. But I do think to try to think outside of the box to find a way that you can do what you want to do. Often there is some way that you can modify that is palatable.
That's what they tell me. I guess I just have to get over the mental stigma, because I keep telling myself writer translates to writer, which translates to writing. So I'm afraid that if I dictate, I'm not writing anymore. It's a mental thing. It's like, oh, no, you're not a writer anymore because you're not writing it. So your words are not on paper anymore. You know what I mean? I know it's
then
a mental
you just
thing.
need
I'm not.
Patience. Yes, totally. Patience with yourself. I mean, of course you want to do what you want to do, but a new way. I believe me, I hear you.
It is. It's a little bit of frustration there as far as that goes. Now, I want to ask you about Now, when I looked at you, one of the things that I didn't notice, and maybe I just overlooked a little something in all my research, but I almost pictured you for some reason as, if you haven't done it already, being in a bar and playing Celtic-type music, because I could see where that would fit in very well with you and with the style of music you play. Or am I just totally 100% off? I'm just throwing it out there. Have you ever done it? Would you do it? Because you look perfect for it.
Well, I don't play Celtic music. I play Appalachian music, which is a relative of Celtic music. Appalachian
That's
music
what I thought.
Yes, and I play tons of that. That is a piece of where I came from is the Appalachian music. It's tied to the blues, but yes, I and it's tied to Celtic music, but I would not call myself a Celtic musician.
Okay, gotcha. I see what you're talking about. Now, can you talk a little bit more about how you're referencing Appalachian? So to some of us who are not familiar with that term per se, or for instance, just give a little background on that type of playing, that type of music, et cetera, so we kind of get a feel for what you're comfortable or what you come from, so to speak.
Sure. Well, a lot of people, when they hear me, they say, oh, you play bluegrass music. Because if I'm talking about, a nuance in this style of music, but old-time Appalachian music is the predecessor to bluegrass music. Bluegrass music has solos and is kind of fancier and notier. If I could play them side by side, you'd hear the difference. Appalachian music is mountain music, and it's just has a more kind of raw roots sound. I don't know if that helps, but
it
not
does,
like Celtic music is note like very notey, and Appalachian old time music isn't quite so notey. It's more just more raw version of Celtic music.
I gotcha. Okay, I just wanted to make a differentiation there so that people understood that, because some of us are not obviously as musically inclined as you are per se, etc. So let's have that little bit of background. Now, I wanted to on a side note, I don't want to forget to ask about this, because one of the things that I know you had signed up and was on board for was the Violins for Veterans program that was going to go on. So I'm just curious to throw it out there. Has that been rescheduled? Is that something that's going to come up on the pike for you at some point? Because I think that's a hugely important thing to be involved with.
I had I don't even remember who I spoke with at this point about that, because that was a while ago. But I do not volunteer for everything, but I do. I follow my intuition, and if there's an organization I want to connect with, I will send a message out and say that I'm available and would like to help out. And so there hasn't been anything rescheduled for that, but I'm hopefully there will be,
Right. Well, definitely. So, that's why I thought I'd throw it out there, because I don't want to forget about that, because I'm like, yeah, that's something that's important, because I love it when musicians lend their time to different causes, to different benefits and such. Musicians are some of the most big-hearted, more humane individuals, and I don't mean to be crass about that. I have friends across the board, but you love taking your talents and sharing it with the masses, and especially when it's for a good cause, and I love that. That's absolutely awesome. So thank you.
I have my favorite causes for sure, so yes, absolutely.
Oh, without a doubt, certainly. Now, I want to talk a bit about some of the other things that you do before we continue on with the music. First of all, I want to know how the experience was, because I know you played at Wilson's Candies in New Hampshire, and that's kind of cool. I think to myself, oh my gosh, that's so neat that she's going to this little place. You pick these little niche places to play at, so I'm curious to ask how that went, and then second of all, acoustically speaking, what brings the best sound, meaning in a Subway, in a candy store, in a very large-size festival? For you personally, what works best for you sound-wise that delivers the best product?
Wow, I'm not exactly sure how to – I'll talk about each of those a little bit. Nelson's Candy Store was great, and that people ask me, how do you get these gigs? And things just sort of unfold. So I was playing – as a guest of my dear friend Bobby Radcliffe, who plays there every year. And I was playing with him, and then when I played with him at the break, they were like, we'd love to have you. And so that's how that happened.
Aww.
And it was a lot of fun. It's a cool little candy, it's really off the beaten path. It's tiny.
Sure.
So that was a lot of fun. And that was nice. I like venues where people really listen to the music. Nelson's was certainly one of those places. The Subway is a whole different experience. Sometimes the acoustics can be amazing in between trains even when there are a lot of people don't talk a lot in the Subway, and it can be a very beautiful experience to just, sometimes I sing a cappella and then I'll play some. And I guess I'm saying I love all these experiences. I don't love being in a noisy bar, but sometimes I find myself in those situations, and I really go with the flow. But that's not my favorite.
Gotcha. No, I understand completely. I just thought that was so neat, and I'm so jealous because I know a little certain someone who opened up for Mr. John Oates himself. Jealous. I would love to interview.
Oh, my God, that was incredible.
Oh, my God. Talk to me about that one. Way jealous. I was like, oh, my God.
First of all, I got to say, he is super cool, salt of the earth. It was a private event I was hired to do, and then I found out that they were trying to get him, and I was not to say anything, and they did end up hiring him. And then we showed up, I don't know, maybe 2 hours early for sound check and everything. He couldn't have been nicer. We started talking. After about 5 minutes, he knew a little bit about me, and he asked if I would if I wanted to sit in with him at the end of his show. I was like, sure. And he's really, really, really a cool guy. And that's one of the best things about music is there's so many cool people, famous, not famous. I don't care. Cool people are cool people, and I know him when I meet him, you know. And it was really great to meet him. Yeah.
See, that's so awesome. And you know what? I have loved those guys for years. You know, the duet. Never got to see them play in person. I'm so frustrated because I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have loved that. You know, that I'm an '80s girl to begin with, so I'm like, oh my god.
They'll be back around though. They still tour, and they're. I mean, he was amazing.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Yeah, and I like that, and I love the fact that they have longevity. For me is a big thing. Establishing yourself, anybody can establish themselves to some degree in the music industry, but to be around and stay significant and have that type of longevity and build that legendary status, it's amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I'm going to say it today. This girl on the other end of the phone, legendary status. That's all I'm going to say for right now, because I know.
You.
I'm just going to go there. Okay, we're going to talk a bit let's talk about the writing, of course, because that's one thing we have in common. Just for you folks that are listening in that may not know, she's done a total of 4 novels. If I'm not mistaken, the last novel is The Underground. Is that correct? That's the most recent?
Okay, so I've written more than 4 novels. I only have put out The Underground because I have not had a chance to put my other ones out. But yes, I have written 4, and The Underground is the only one. I'm just so busy.
No, I totally get it. I do the same thing. No, I get that. So a couple questions relative to the writing. I know that you had indicated before that somebody had approached you about having interest in doing a screenplay for one of them. So do you foresee for the future something like that is that important to you to transfer what you have put on paper onto the screen? It's
super important to me, and in fact, I am getting ready to start that screenplay right now. I haven't been able to.
Nice.
I've never written a screenplay, but a lot of people tell me that the book that I did put out would make a great screenplay, and it has been optioned, and I have not had a chance to write it.
Gotcha.
Because I was working on another record, but I have now wrapped up my part on a new record. So yes, I am going to write that in 2017, and I'm very excited about it. I love writing.
That is absolutely so cool. So of course, obviously, I'm sure we have this both in common. I'm always asking writers this all the time. Lately, I've been in a funk because I do all genres. So I've done screenplays, I've written movies, I've written plays, I've written just about everything. And so lately, for some strange reason, I guess my question to you is this. Tell me the times where do you find it easier to write music? Do you find it easier to write novels? And then second of all, do you experience that 3 a.m., all of a sudden I wake up and I can write, and then there are days on end where I can't write at all? Do you know what I mean? Explain to me if you experience how your writer's block goes, if you in fact have that.
Well, I don't have writer's block. I would say I am in a mode where I paint, I write, I play music, and I can be in 2 of them at once. I cannot really be in 3 of them in depth at the same time. And I've been in a deep music in terms of writing. I can always be playing without creating new material, but I've been in a very creative music mode for the last few years, doing some painting and not so much writing. And now I'm switching a little bit. But yes, I have time. I mean, some of the songs on my current record, one of them in particular, Forevermore, literally woke me up in the middle of the night, and the words came out like that.
Sure.
You know, that happens sometimes. So I don't have times where I can't, where I just don't think of it like, I have a block. It's more that sometimes I have more energy to play music, or feel more inspired to paint. Like sometimes, like, oh my gosh, around my birthday, I was like, oh my God, I haven't painted in so long. I got to paint, and I painted my boots. You know, like I'll just. Oh my gosh, neat. I just go with whatever comes in my head. You know.
Aw, that's so creatively. That is so cool. Definitely. Now, before I forget to ask, give everybody that short, sweet synopsis about The Underground and why they want to own a copy of that, because I think that's important. You wrote it. You should give yourself 60 seconds of props. Talk to us. Tell me what it's about.
Okay. I won't give away the whole plot, but I'll just say it is a dystopian romance. It's a matriarchal society, and I'll say the right thing happens in the end. And if you want to know the full synopsis, go to my website, ilanakatz.com, or you can get it on Amazon.com. You can get hard copies or read my synopsis there. But it's called The Underground, and it is a dystopian romance, kind of like, I think of it in the vein of Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, sort of.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
If you like dystopia and the Hunger Games and all that stuff, it's in that vein.
Oh my God, my son would absolutely love this. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, well, if it's age appropriate, because my son is 10, and that's the huge
It's
thing.
not age appropriate. It's got some adult scenes in it.
That's what I thought. So I'm like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do
if
that.
You're an
but
adult,
it's definitely appropriate for me.
Yes.
Definitely when I'm resting my hands, let's rest with somebody else's
People
book.
enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay. And there's a queen in it, FYI.
Oh, yeah. It's fun.
Okay. You betcha, without a doubt. Now, I am going to talk about your 2 CDs, and then we're going to play a song, obviously, because I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited to play this song because I've listened to it repeatedly. 2 different CDs, the one from 2014, which is I've Got Something to Tell You, and then, of course, 2016 is the new one, which is Moving On. So the 2 things I'd like you to talk about relative to the CDs is, because you are obviously you're the creator. So tell me if you noticed a big change in terms of style or writing, etc. Is there a big difference between the one in 2014 and the one in 2016? That's the first question. And then second of all, tell me, did you as a person, did you notice that your playing style or just your performance has changed at all? Are people going to be able to tell a sound difference, quality difference? Just talk a little bit about some of the things you've noticed change over the course of a couple of years.
Well, I still call them records because they are still, even though they're not like round on the turntable. No, not at all. Yep. No, I'm just explaining because it ties into your question, because it's a record of where I was at that time. So I noticed a lot of difference between the 2 records. I was new to, also where was my head at. I was my mother died right before I recorded my first record. I was still pretty depressed. And so that goes into my playing. And I sang 1 song on my first record. I was a brand new singer. Like I had only started singing maybe 4 weeks before we recorded that. I was terrified, but I was encouraged to do it. So I was, insecure and nervous and going through a very hard personal time, but had a lot of love and a lot of encouragement from all those musicians who were with me. So it's a record of that time. The one that my newer record, most of that was recorded with my dear friend Cedric Watson in Lafayette, Louisiana, which in and of itself, where you record has an impact on it as well, and who you record with. And I was much more confident at that time. I was really willing to sing a lot more and have been working on my voice and was writing songs more. So that was, I noticed a big difference. And then also I had the great honor to work with my friend Bobby Radcliffe and his trio in New York, and then also with Barry Levinson in Los Angeles. So I love both records, but I do feel I was, I'm and my new record even now and my performing, I'm just so much more confident with my singing, and I've just been working on everything. So it's a progression. That's why it's called Moving On.
Nice. Very nice. And I want to mention, folks, before I play this song, obviously, some people obviously think she's wonderful because I know that you were, of course, Coolest Blues Song in the World, 2015. I thought that was
a finalist.
Cool because you were one of the finalists. Yes, I was about to say finalist. Yes, she's a finalist, but doesn't that sound totally awesome, folks? Listen to that. Coolest Blues Song in the World. And just to be, even whether you win or don't win, just being in that, just being considered that's so, it's a bumps moment. But I'm going to shut up for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. We're going to play You Crush My Soul. That was my choice out of all the ones that you sent over. I prefer it, and there's obvious reasons. So let's all listen in. You Crush My Soul is the name of it. Now I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
Because I'm curious. This is just what I got after listening to a bunch of different playings of you, meaning you playing out, etc. And the sense that I get, and you know what you remind me of, and you probably hear this a lot, is almost a younger and a bit softer version of Janis Joplin.
Oh, my God. No, nobody said that to me. Wow.
Holy man, this is a virgin experience. That happens a lot on my show. No, honestly, I have to tell you that. I have a very dear friend of mine who's actually very close to her sound, and I tell her this all the time. She doesn't believe me either. And I'm like, no, I think part of it has to do with your appearance, and I think the other part of it has to do with your sound, and combined with the both. That's legitimately what I see. That's why I'm not kidding when I talk about legendary status. See, so use that as your next show. Somebody in the media just told me very recently, I got the look and the style and the feel of that Janis Joplin girl, and I'm going places. Just as simple as that. See? Power to the older women. Little over 20 or so. Now, before I forget, we want to talk about the artistic side of you. Not that you're not artistic enough in every manner, shape, or form, but I know that you do. Obviously, I know you've done charcoal, pastel, you've done marker drawings, pencil drawings, paintings, you name it. So talk to me a little bit about that creative genre, because, again, that's something I don't know how to do. What does doing that type of art provide you from something like music or writing per se?
Well, it's funny, all the time when I walk around, I just see things and I just want to make things out of them. Like I have made bracelets out of my used violin strings, and I haven't had enough time to do a lot of those. I see things and I like to make things I can wear. Like I think about, well, how can I make my jeans, I always feel like I don't know what I'm doing. You know what? I'm not afraid to try. Like with my boots. Okay. I told my husband, I was like, I'm going to paint my boots. He's like, okay, have a good time.
Oh my gosh. How cool
I have
is
fun.
That though? That's neat though, and I like that. Plus, that type of art is a little different in an expressive manner, meaning that my son draws, and I see certain things that come out in his drawing that doesn't come out when he writes. So I do think that there's a way to express yourself. Different forms give you different feelings, which give you different forms of expression. That's just my thought, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And I'm going to beg you, before I forget about this, because you're too busy to probably do this, but you might know. This is an on-standing question on my show. My son, my almost 12-year-old son, up until very recently, I think the last 2.5 months ago, he was a 3-year patient. He was a seizure patient, actually. And so up until that point, he had been experiencing seizures. So my beautiful son, without inspiration from me, decided to not only illustrate, but to write a comic book. And in the comic book, during the course of this comic book, he comes up with a villain and a hero, and the long story short is that Sergeant Seizure, that's the good guy, he cures seizures. And so we have been trying, and I've been trying 4 artists now, to make it into a comic book. We want to put it into all the different children's pediatric hospitals across the country, and that's our goal. So if you know anyone, an actual artist that can do this, I have gone through 4 artists now, and I don't understand what it is, if artists are just quirky or different kind of people, but for whatever reason it keeps falling apart, and I'm thinking, is this ever going to get done? You know what I mean? It's different when we promise ourselves something, but I promised him this. So because it's my son, every time somebody comes on, I'm like, do you know anyone? Or can you lead me in a direction? Or can you find me someone? Yeah, I'm getting desperate.
A friend of mine from college is a great illustrator, and he popped right into my head. I don't know if he can do it, but I will connect you with him.
Definitely. That would be terrific, certainly. And without a doubt, you are roaming into my realm. So if you get into trouble with the screenplay, you can always knock on my door, because I'm always big on that whole, if somebody gets in trouble here, I'm here for you. Now, there's 2 more things we need to do, because we only have 7 minutes left, because I have to do your counterparts at the festival, which is, of course, right after you. I'm doing the both Realize Bradenton and, of course, the Blues Foundation as well. So it's a big day, 2-hour show today. So we'll talk about the festival last. Before I forget, I want to go across all these different forums, and you let me know if I forgot anything. To those of you listening who want to find her, I will tell you each and every way. She's located on Amazon, iTunes, CD Baby, Google+, Goodreads, YouTube. She has a Facebook page, and I'm going to spell her name for you. It's Ilana and Katz, Katz, twice. So it's Ilana Katz Katz, and that's her Facebook page. She is also on Twitter, and that handle is and it's Katz twice. And then, of course, her website, ilanakatz.com. Did I miss anything? Any place else I can find you?
But not at all. But I haven't been on Twitter lately. I would say that people should go to my. I'm about to redo my website, and that's a good kind of portal to getting information about me.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because oftentimes people don't realize that they can find you here, here, here. Now, I don't want to forget to bring up the two big things that kind of strung us together here, which is, of course, the Bradenton Blues Festival. I know that. I'd like you to talk about two different things, of course. Talk a bit about the Blues Festival, how you got incorporated with that, when you're playing, which is December 3rd. But prior to that, the day before, December 2nd, you're doing blues in the schools. So just talk to us a bit about each event and how people can find you there, meaning what time you're playing and what you can offer when they're there.
Well, I'll talk about the blues in the schools first. That's a week from today, Friday morning. I don't know if that's open to the public, but it must be because it was in the Sarasota newspaper.
Okay.
So they'd have to look at, I'll post that on my Facebook page in the next day. I'll find out, or maybe you can ask some of the other people who are going to be on the show. That is, I'm going to be speaking to the high school students in Bradenton. I'm very excited. I love talking about blues history, blues fiddle history.
I bet.
And I've done that a few times with different age school students, and I'm really excited about that. So that is going to be next Friday morning. I got invited to play the festival, which I'm so excited about because I was in Memphis last January for the International Blues Challenge. I was not part of the challenge. I played in my local contest in New Hampshire, Massachusetts 3 times and came in last out of two, and tied out of 3. I was second. And my friend said, "Oh, come with us. We will take you everywhere." And I just ended up playing with tons of bands. And it shows you what, just because you don't win a contest doesn't mean you can't have fun. So I was at a brunch there, and I met Paul, and he invited me to play. He called me up a few weeks afterwards and invited me to do both these things, and I'm very, very excited. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh! See, and that is so neat. I like that, and I was kind of bummed because actually Kim and I originally when we first talked, we were talking about the idea of just sending me down there, in which case I would interview all you musicians, I would interview the foundation, the whole 9 yards, and we just couldn't get it together this year. So I was bummed. I was very excited. I still get to have you on the show because obviously I hands down wish I could have done all the musicians because I'm just a huge blues fan myself personally. So I think that it's an amazing time to get people together, without a doubt, certainly. So in my last 3.5 minutes with you, customarily, you probably have never listened to my show before. So what you don't know is at the end of every show, I always get to tell the guests what I think of them. And I do this for a reason. Well, first of all, I think that you should get an outsider's point of view because I've spent a good deal of time researching you, listening to you, watching you play, so I get some sense of you. And hopefully if I've done my job right, I've covered all the necessary ground, taught people a little bit about you, what they've known from a professional standpoint, but also a personal standpoint, and you get my reflections as well. So here it goes. So you can just listen in, and hopefully I've done this right. Okay, folks, this is what I can't tell you about this lovely lady. This very dear friend of mine, and I don't want to forget to say this, Kim, right off the bat, this is the publicist that has worked with me before, and I'm very, very excited to say that we're becoming very good friends, and she's an absolutely wonderful person, and I can clearly see that she represents great quality individuals. She brings people to the table that are fabulous. I've had an amazing journey with you today, my dear. Thank you for coming on the show, by the way, and I'll get to you in just a second. But, Kim, I just want to say thank you so much for bringing everyone on the show today, taking so much time, doing all this work, putting them all together. I appreciate it more than I can tell you. So thank you so very much. Now back to you, young lady. The very first time that I opened up and I did a search of you and I took a look at all these various pictures and articles, the very first thing I saw, which is the very first thing I said to you, which is there is something inside of you that beams very brightly, and I can tell what it is. It's the passion by which you carry your life. And by that, without having even met you yet, I can already tell that you are probably on a scale of 1 to 10, 20 when it comes to loving your music, your family, your animals, the people that you come in contact with, your fans, your music. And what's nice about this is that you not only carry a love of one art form, but you carry a love of multiple art forms. You're dainty, but you're cute. You're sweet, but yet you're very boisterous. The minute you open your mouth, you make your point in very few words. Not everyone can do that. I'm not that kind of person. I need a lot of words to make a point. You do it in a very short and very succinct way. Your music is very relatable. Your presence is very magnanimous, even whether it's in a subway or whether it's in a shop or whether it's at a festival or whether it's at somebody's door. You have a very large presence. This is exactly why I spoke of what I did earlier, which is the legendary status. I foresee not only you having a very long career in every single one of these mediums that you're doing, but more importantly, I hope one day when I get the next film done or the next play done, that I can come to this lovely lady and say, I want your music to become a part of my project so that people can realize that beam of light extends not only just to a record or to a festival, but it extends to an art that I love, that will so many other people will listen to. And I hope that I've done my job well enough to where when you leave this show in the next couple of minutes that you'll say, why, of course I'd come back on because I would love to have you anytime.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you for everything. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everything you said. It means so much. I'm so flattered, honored, and thank you
and hey, thanks
so
for taking
much.
the time because the holiday was yesterday, so you're probably like exhausted, like, oh my God, now I'm going to do the show, and it was Thanksgiving yesterday. I totally get it.
Oh, but it's nice I take nothing for granted. Thank you so much. I really appreciate what you do,
that.
and
Thank you.
I hope to get to meet you in person.
And don't forget to get a hold of me. Yes, you will definitely do that. As long as you keep playing in the subway. I go to New York all the time. Boston's not far from New York, right? Aren't you close?
Boston's not that far, and I'm actually in New York now, but
oh my God! See, it figures. She's finally there, and I'm not there. No, I get to New York and I get to Boston, so we'll collaborate off the air as far as that goes. We'll talk about the screenplay, and you can let me know the artist you have in mind. Because now call number 2 is coming in, which means I got one more hour of work to do. So have a wonderful weekend, darling.
Thank you.
I hope to talk to you soon.
Blessings to you. Blessings to you.
Anytime,
Thank you so much. All right.
All
bye-bye.
right, dear. Have a good one. All right, folks. We're on to hour number 2. So let's get going with the Realize Bradenton folks and the chairman of the International Blues Foundation. Let's see who we got calling in first. And who do I have with me first?
Well, right now you have Johnette Isham with Realize Bradenton. We run the Bradenton Blues Festival.
Oh, my God, I am so excited and very nervous. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. I know a lot about you, and it scares me. I'm not going to lie.
No.
I'm very scared.
No.
You're so
I don't
smart,
bite.
It scares me. I'm serious. But I have to start this interview off by saying you must be good people because you are friends with someone that I know, and I did not know that. Who's
that?
How well do you know Lynn Warburg?
I'm trying to remember now. How would I know Lynn? Tell me.
Let me refresh your memory. When I was on Facebook and I was creeping on you, because that's what I do as a journalist, I happened to notice that one of our mutual friends is Lynn. Lynn is doing a book on Haiti. She's very big on that. She's an artist. Her son is actually a psychiatric patient. She had a huge campaign for him. She was just doing a GoFundMe campaign. She was on my show, actually, a couple of months ago.
Oh, cool.
Her and I have become really good friends. So I just assumed, forgive me, I saw this mutual friend, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, I wonder how she knows Lynn. It's like a very small world. I'm like,
I've got like almost 5,000 friends on my Facebook, and
yes.
and I
Sometimes
probably know
it's hard.
Lynn. I just, yeah.
No, I totally understand. I'm just going to stop you real quickly because I know Paul is calling in, so I'm going to connect him right away so all three of us can be on at once. So just give me 2 seconds.
Sure.
I'm on too.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, how are
Abby,
you?
turn the computer.
We're all here. Okay, good. I just want to make sure that all three of us are here. Everybody can hear everybody now?
Yep.
Yeah, hey, Paul.
Okay,
hey, how are you?
Good.
Good.
We're all here at the exact same time. Yay. So everybody, let me just do this introduction here. Of course, I'm kind of, just so you guys understand the format, we'll kind of jump back and forth. I'll ask a general question of both of you, and I think it's important that both of you answer in terms of your different perspectives and outlooks on things, and then we'll kind of disassemble you both, if we will, and we'll talk about Realize Bradenton, and of course we'll talk about Paul's different ventures and such with the Blues Foundation, et cetera. Make sense? Then this way we're getting a nice, well-rounded coverage here. So, Paul, I want to start with you a little bit because one of the things that I found so impressive in doing some of the research that I did about you is how very fiery and very seasoned and very encouraged you are about keeping the legacy of this type of music alive and well. So talk to me a little bit about the blues scene these days, because I haven't been noticing or listening to blues music. Talk to me a bit about why it's so fundamentally important for you to carry on this sort of legacy when it comes to this legendary music. Why does this matter, and what should we know about it?
Well, the blues is the first recorded music ever, and a lot of people do know B.B. King, do know Stevie Ray Vaughan, but there's so much more to the blues than just those two artists. And the blues has been evolved over so many years and has outlasted any other music out there today. In from the past. And the blues to me, I mean, like I'm a promoter and booking agent, and book people and talent buyer per se, and do a number of festivals and a number of shows. But it's important to me is that keeping the legacy alive from the old blues format to the revolving doors that's opening for new blues artists of today. I mean, the blues styles of today is totally different than the blues styles of for instance, Muddy Waters, the Howlin' Wolves, the big Robert Johnsons and stuff. Those people paved the way, but they opened the doors for so many blues artists of today, and a lot of the younger artists do pay homage to their past people, but today's artists also, there's never going to be another Muddy or a Wolf, in that. But today's youth have a chance. We don't want today's new stars being what the old stars did. We want them to be artists in their own right. And so the only way they're going to get a chance to do that is by getting out playing and getting on festivals, getting booked in clubs, and and getting what they play out. So to me, that's the important part of keeping this legacy alive. I've been bringing blues in the main since 1978 and been doing this since basically 78.
Right.
And I love what I do. I'm a blues fan first, and everything else comes in. I mean, with the festivals, with the record label and managing some artists and all the different shows I do, and then being involved with the Blues Foundation is my little way of trying to keep this music healthy and strong. And a lot of people are amazed that I do not play an instrument, but there's enough players, and it's people like me and a number of other promoters throughout the world that and club owners and that need to be keeping what we're doing, so it keeps the doors open for keeping this music alive for the new generation of blues players and the older generation who are still out there touring. So that's a quick
definitely. Answer. No, I totally get it. Now, I want to go over to the flip side, over to you, Johnette, and ask you a question, because, of course, you're the executive director of Realize Bradenton. So I want to just, in terms of the festival, of course, it's a blues festival. So because I'm not from Florida, I need a little insight here into our listening audience as well. Was it, from its inception, automatically always going to be a blues-type festival? And in terms of, obviously, the music itself in your community, in the Florida community, how important is this type of music, this type of festival? How is music a fundamental need in that community of yours? Because I want to get a little insight of the art-type feel community in your area.
Well, Realize Bradenton is a nonprofit, and we actually run 75 events, and the Blues Festival is our biggest destination festival, and we're a nonprofit that's about 6 years old. And when we saw that Bradenton was becoming a real blues destination, when the Blues Music Magazine moved to our downtown, and when we have a convergence of a lot of blues artists who have moved here from around the country, as well as some great blues bars like Aces Live and Blue Rooster. And I just happened to be talking to Jack Sullivan about the possibility of doing a festival on our new Riverwalk, and he said, if you want to do a festival right, you got to give Paul Benjamin a call. So Paul came down, and the stars were aligned. Everyone was so excited, from the mayor to the elected officials, all the residents, and we work with such a diverse group that I think, as Paul said, blues is the original American music, and it resonates with everyone, particularly in our little community and around the world, as Paul can tell you, because we draw 10 different people from 10 different countries, 35 states, and 200 zip codes in Florida come to the Bradenton Blues Festival each year.
Which is amazingly impressive. And not only that, it is, and correct me if I'm not mistaken, but it kind of expands from an economic standpoint. You have huge expansion in terms of the amount of revenue it brings in. It brings in different cultures, different communities, and different sorts of things during the weekend. Obviously not just the playing, of course, but I like the gospel blues brunch. I think that's fabulous, absolutely fabulous conception. So on many fronts, obviously, that's beneficial.
And everything we do has an educational component, and Paul can speak to this as well. We do blues in the schools for about 500 high school students. Paul helps us get in one of the headliners, who I think you might have talked to today. Ilana Katz Katz is coming in to the schools on Friday. And we have a free concert the night before. Although our festival is only $30 due to we've got about 65 sponsors that help keep the festival prices low. We also do a great community concert for free the night before. So it has many dimensions.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Yep. Got it. And we want to clarify something real quickly because Ilana and I were just talking about this, and we had spoken about the December 2nd event. So we just want to clarify. We weren't sure if that's a public event where people from the public can actually come in. I don't mean droves, let's say, but could they come in and witness this educational It is okay. Okay, got it.
Well, the Blues in the Schools is for the high school students. The Friday night concert is a free concert, and the festival site can accommodate about 3,000. So, yeah.
Got it. Okay, got it. Because we were talking about her participating in the school thing, and so we were like, we wonder is it public or not because it was just in the newspaper. So we were assuming, if it's in the newspaper, people can come. Do you know what I'm saying? Meaning in the school, the high school portion of it. Okay, got it. Okay, wonderful. And since we brought up the educational standpoint stuff, let's talk to both of you about this because, of course, I understand Realize Bradenton is a nonprofit that brings people together in terms of strengthening social, cultural, and the physical assets in the area, and one of which, of course, we've noticed here. I'm from Wisconsin, and I can speak to this, and maybe you both can talk about the educational necessity or lack. We seem to be lacking in my community here. The arts and the music program is one time a week, and that's all the kids are getting for an hour at a time. So talk a bit, both of you, in terms of both sides of the spectrum in both places that you work at, how fundamentally important it is to implement new and interesting educational things from an art and music perspective, and how do you feel both of your organizations are doing at that?
Yeah, I'll let Paul go first on that one.
Okay.
I was going to let you, but that's fine. I think it's extremely important because most of the school districts around the country, if they got to cut money, it's usually in the music program, and that's unfortunate. And there are some, great blues in the school programs put on throughout through the Blues Foundation, as well as many individual blues societies doing for different schools and that. But having those young kids seeing. Sometimes young kids we brought into the school, for instance, in Bradenton. We've had, homemade jams in there, which are the same age as the kids they were talking to. And, in layman's terms, last year was, they were in high school, with the kids. So, if the music programs are getting caught in, and if you can start bringing in some of these artists into the schools, it might encourage someone else in that to look to say, we need this program. I mean, the music, any type of music. We're talking blues, but any type of music in the schools. I mean, music is puts a smile on everybody's face for a minute, and no matter what's going on in their life, if you can get a chance to sit back, relax, and forget about all your troubles and listen to some music, it's very healing. So, and I just think it's important. For more schools, I would love to see music is so important to everybody's lifestyle that it would be nice to see school budgets putting that money back in the budget and looking to maybe cut something else instead of the music, because I think music is such an important factor for youth growing up today and just turning into adults.
Yeah, so I agree with everything Paul says. And we work with both the visual arts, the performing arts, and the musical arts. And we really believe that it's important to educate and excite the next generation of blues music lovers. So we do that through Blues in the Schools, and we also work with the Suncoast Blues Society to work in the elementary schools as well. And about 2 weeks ago, we had a fabulous event with the Manatee Young Professionals. So these are professional young people under 35, and we had a blues buzz at our local great blues joint called ACES. And so we're trying to, whether they're elementary, high school, or in the workforce right now, really help educate and excite young people to live music and live blues music. And we also, at the event that Ilana's performing at, we give away 20 tickets to the high school students to get them at the festival.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. In fact, I was going to ask a curiosity question because I know that you usually have, obviously, Realize has 5 full staff members and, of course, over 300 volunteers. So I was just curious to ask if a lot of that quota in terms of volunteers are those younger adults, individuals that want to get actively involved on it early on stage, and this is a great way to be able to do that. So I'm just curious, do you find that the youth likes to participate?
Oh, absolutely. For the high school students, when they work with us, they get volunteer hours, and of our 300 volunteers, I'd say a good 20% are younger people, and they like to contribute and give back. And so it's a great way to get all generations together. We use about 150 volunteers at the festival itself, so it's like clockwork, getting all our volunteers in the right place at the right time. But whether they're boomers or seniors or high school or college students, we really depend on them, as all festivals do, the volunteer force to contribute.
Sure. Now, I also have another question because I want to talk a bit about these events that, of course, that you have throughout the course of the year, and then we'll switch back over to Paul for a bit. A couple of things I want to cite here that you do throughout the year: the music in the park, the art slam, the farmers market, the mainly art, those different types of things. Curious to ask, in your area, what do you find to be the most popular, meaning what's bringing out the crowds the very most? And do you envision doing down the road future events and kind of widening your scope a little bit? Not that you're not, certainly, because you're covering almost every area you can think of.
Well, we like to say we bring people together through food, fun, and music. And for the millennial events, we've gotten about $150 from the Knight Foundation to do pop-ups for a purpose to get young people civically engaged. We find craft beer is another attractor with the food. So, so that's with our Pick and Picnic, and Art Slam is really the visual performing and music arts, mainly with high school and college students working in teams, and it's about 20,000 people from around the community come and make art together. So I think anyway, particularly at this time in the world, to bring people together in a positive way around music, fun, and food, people make connections that they didn't have before with themselves and with others, actually.
Sure. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Okay, now, Paul, I want to switch over to you for a second because on the flip side of the fence here, because I know that a lot of work that you have done has been in promotion and, of course, within blues festivals, orchestrating blues shows, things along those lines. So you might work in different venues in different places, let's say necessarily outside of Johnette, so to speak. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about your experience in terms of, as you travel along doing various shows in various different places. One of the things that I talk a lot about on my show is when you're worried about the absence of live music in venues across the country, meaning it's becoming the dying breed, the pay-to-play scenario is coming out there. Talk a little bit about how you are keeping kind of the art alive across the country. What do you feel appeals these places or venues, et cetera, to kind of keep things alive and going? Whether it's a blues specific music in general, I guess I'm really looking at here.
Well, I mean, that's a tough question, but talking about doing, I mean, I live in Maine, and Maine is not known as a hotbed for blues. But on the other hand, I've been bringing blues into Maine since '78, and started North Atlantic Blues Festival started in Rockland. I started. And then, you kind of expanded and so expanding it, I'm involved with 6 different festivals now, 3 which are in Florida and, 1 in Maine, 1 in Massachusetts, and another one in St. John, Virgin Islands. And then, and there's the chance of expanding to do, a couple of more festivals that I'll know in the next few weeks. But the festivals is one part of it. The hard part for an artist in the blues world, since that's my expertise, is difficult to get a tour together. And 10 years ago, an artist could go on tour for 30 days and play 28 days, and have a good tour and make some good money and make a living. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of blues clubs that have closed up. The blues audience is an older audience, and that's our biggest fight in the blues world is
right.
and that's why it's important to bring in and you know, with these younger artists who are playing and get them in front of the crowd, because they can start bringing in a younger audience. And you know, and you know, most festivals, the average age is probably 50 years old and older, and so the blues crowd, by getting older, you know, as they get, you know, when they get in the 70s and 80s, they don't go out near as much as they did. So having more venues and more festivals going around the country and encouraging clubs to start the shows for blues. I mean, you get a lot of clubs have closed down because the blues people stopped coming in. And, you know, and my big fight against that is, what time did you start your shows? Well, they started at 10 o'clock at night. Well, blues fans want to go home at 10 o'clock at night. They don't want to be getting up to go out. So we've been preaching, and I do a Monday night series here in Rockland, Maine, and I've been in the same room now for over 20 years. And, you know, we do 7 o'clock shows. They're done at 10 o'clock. So even if people drive an hour to a show, they can be home at 11 o'clock. So, and there's a lot of clubs now that are doing blues shows, you know, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. And then they're turning their club over and then having their hip-hop or their DJ or whatever they want. That's from 10 o'clock till 2 in the morning. So that now they're getting both crowds of people. So they're getting an older crowd in the beginning of the evening, and then they're getting the young people who want to be out till 2 or 3 in the morning. And, you know, so the biggest fight in the blues world is educating some of the club owners to, you know, to try some earlier blues shows. And then by doing more festivals, it offsets the clubs that are closing, you know, that are closed up, or, you know, the people who have had the club have gotten old and, you know, and didn't have someone to turn that club over to. Having a club is a rough business. I mean, you're kind of married to it, and you've got to be there all the time. So by creating new festivals that I've been involved in, and, you know, and helping other people, because I consult around the country for them, and talking at different places I've been asked to speak at regarding this type of thing, is trying to get these people to try something new and think outside of the box. And if you can start gravitating and getting some of those younger people into the festival and seeing what's going on, they realize, you know, wow, I didn't realize I like that kind of music. They didn't realize there's so much blues rock that's not much different than straight rock and roll that some of the kids listen to this day, or some of the artists they do. But if you can get them to a festival one time and they realize, wow, this is pretty cool. I didn't realize, like I said earlier, that I kind of like this music, and I didn't even realize this was blues. So, you know, getting them there is half the battle. Once you get them there, I feel if I can get them in the door one time, I own them. They're going to be there forever. So having the younger bands is like the homemade jams that we had at Bradenton, or I bring, some of the young ones I bring in, like, you know, Kingfish, who was out of Mississippi, 17 years old, and people of that nature, getting them on the bills, and you know, the Samantha Fishes and the Selwyn Birchwoods, and you know, and those people, getting them in front of bigger crowds. Well, they have a younger following to them, and so it's important to get some of them on the bills to keep younger people coming into the gates, filling up seats. And now the blues purists, now they're the ones that we have that problem. They're so old school. They don't like the blues of today, which is unfortunate, you know, and it's but they're coming around. There's a lot less blues purists than it was, you know, 5 years ago, and they're realizing, you know, again, as I said earlier, there's no more Mighties and there's no more Wolves, and you know, there's no one's going to repeat, you know, or there's no more B.B. Kings. You know, their legacy is going to be there forever, and so the younger people coming in playing it is going to bring younger people into the clubs, younger people to festivals, and it keeps it evolving, and you know, that's to me that's the way it needs to go.
Well, and I'm interested to ask this question of both of you, really, kind of on the caveat of what you were just talking about, which is, of course, obviously you want to start bringing in the younger crowd, et cetera. But just in general, talk to me both about in terms of what sorts of things are true you're utilizing to try to bring in your audiences, meaning what sort of offerings do you find that people are looking for in any sort of festival per se? Obviously, of course, we all go because when it benefits a nonprofit or certainly benefits our arts or culture, most of us are interested in attending, et cetera. But are there specific things that you know tools that you use that over time and trial have said, hey, you know what, this is what's bringing our crowds in. Because when you've got people coming from multiple states, countries, et cetera, you're doing something right. So tell us some of the things that you find work best and that are just mass quantity items that people are lining up to come and see.
Well, I'll start that because it really speaks to how important Paul has been to the Bradenton Blues Festival. We survey our audiences. After each festival, within 2 weeks, we survey our audiences because we have email addresses from the e-tickets. We survey our volunteers, and we survey our sponsors. And without exception, it's the quality of the talent, and it's the site. The site that we have is right on the river, beautiful. Is it well run? Is it well paced? Paul keeps about 15 minutes between the bands. Certainly, the food vendors are important, and we actually offer air-conditioned porta potties, which even in December at a festival is a hot number. And so we run a really high-quality festival, again, due to our 65 sponsors who donate close to $200,000 to keep the quality high, the ticket prices low, and Blues in the Schools the day before. So there's a variety of factors. But, Paul, wouldn't you say it's the quality of the music, it's the pacing? We do a great job in terms of promotion and social media. So what other factors, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, Bradenton gets it. They've gotten it from year one. They've been a great group to work with. I consult for other festivals, and it takes me 3 or 4 years to get them to realize what's going on. Bradenton, with Johnette and her crew, is a great crew of people. They work very well together. And Johnette knows her strengths and knows her, weaknesses. Not that you have any, Johnette, but
No, but when I do have a question, I call you, Paul, right?
Yes, and so she lets her people that she knows is going to get the job done right and do it, And I've been to a number of festivals, and when and I look at, I am very strict on a stage. I mean, I know the artists. I mean, I know every artist I book. I mean, they've played for me somewhere over the years, and I know what they can do or what they can't do, but it's you as a paying fan coming in that gate. So you're coming in to see one act, and and that act is scheduled to play at 2:00, and you've got and that act is someone you really wanted to see, and you come in the gate at 1:45 because they're going at 2:00, and you've got about an hour and a half before you got to leave and get back to work, or you only can be there. And when you get there at 1:45, and then all of a sudden you find the festival's running half hour, 45 minutes behind schedule, and you paid money to see a certain act, and all of a sudden you get there and you have to leave now because you only got that window to get there, and you don't get to see that act. Well, guess what? You're never going back to that festival. So I think it's extremely important to run the festival on time. So if you say someone's going on at 1:00. They're on the stage at 1:00. So when I tell an act they got 10 minutes, 5 minutes, get off my stage, they get off the stage, because if they don't, I'm going to basically walk up and get them off the stage. And I don't have to do that because they understand it. And then when you put a lineup together for a festival, I do not bring in my favorite blues acts. If you were to ask the question, who's headlining the Bradenton Blues Festival this year? Well, my answer would have been every act that's playing is a headliner. Someone has to open the show. Someone has to close the show. If you're a Ronnie Baker Brooks fan, he's your headliner, and just because he happens to be closing. But if you're a Jason Ritchie fan or Larry McRae or Slam Allen, who's going to one of these people going to be opening the show, that's who you're going to see. That's your headliner. So the way I look at it, every festival I book, everyone is a headliner because you do not know who in the audience is coming to see what artist. So by bringing in a wide variety of blues acts, different styles of blues, that caters to more people, and then it also educates people who might not have heard of an act or say, well, gee, I love a female vocalist, or I love a harmonica, but gee, I didn't realize I liked that guitar player. I like that. Or Slam Allen, who's a soul blues guy. I didn't realize I liked soul blues. So you use it for education as well. So, but running a festival on time, taking care of your artists, the best pleasure I have at a festival, I introduce every act. At every festival I do, I bring them on the stage. I introduce the act. I see nobody. I do not hear a note, because when someone's on stage playing, I am now backstage looking for my next act, getting them ready, and I've got 20 other things I got to get done. But that's fine. But when I hear the audience just screaming and hollering, and I look up on the stage and see the band members smiling and having fun, and I look out into the audience seeing them having fun, that's the biggest reward that you can get, because now you know you've done your job. People are enjoying themselves. And if they walk away from the festival saying they had a great time, guess what? They're coming back and they're bringing friends the following year. So putting everything together and making it work, having, like Johnette said, having good food vendors, making it convenient for people to use portable toilets, making it easy to get in and out of the venue, and having parking that people can get there. I mean, all of that comes into how an event becomes from a decent event, a good event, to a very good event, to an excellent event. So each year, Monday morning, we will sit down with Team Bradenton and we will critique this past year's festival, and we'll be making notes and making plans for 2018. But we actually sit down. Usually we did it on Sundays. We're going to have a one-day break this year. We're going to do it on Monday morning. But everything's fresh in our minds, and we let each person who had a department to run voice what worked for them, voice what they needed help in, and then the other one sitting around the table voice what they saw. So there's no egos, and everybody gets a chance to speak their piece and saying, I think this would work better, or I think, we tried this and this was horrible, blah, blah, blah. But we all work as a unit and as a team, which makes a successful festival. So.
And, of course, obviously, another one of the telltale signs is now, as I understand it, did this start off being just a one-day thing? And now it's a weekend. As I understand it, it's extended out to a 3-day weekend event. So was this originally just a one-day?
It was always a Friday night and a Saturday, and now we've extended with a Sunday brunch.
Gotcha. I've got it.
So it gives people from out of town a real reason to stay. We let them know what other bands are playing, the after parties locally, and we also tell them about our museum, planetarium, our Village of the Arts, artist community. So they also, people from out of town, they love the blues, but they want to get to know the city that they're in. So we also connect them with all that information.
Of course. And I assume, just like most festivals, obviously, to those that are listening into my show, of course, I have people in 20 different states and some of which in Florida. But outside of that, if they want to come and travel there, I assume you've partnered up with the local hotels and other places where they can be directed, or is it too late now, meaning that you guys are sold, or maybe you don't even know that, but meaning if somebody listens to this today and they're like, you know what, I'm going to go visit there next week, are they still able to get close enough to be able to stay all weekend, et cetera? Is that still an option?
Yes. If out-of-town folks go to BradentonBluesFestival.org, we still have some tickets available online. There's a few hotels that are listed. They may already be booked. However, there's a link to the convention and visitors site that shows other hotels. So I know there's hotels locally within, 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Wonderful. Now, one of the things I always do on my show is obviously we come on the show for a reason, which is, of course, to talk about events and other things, but you are a person besides being an executive director. So I want to address that a little bit, obviously. First of all, the fact that you were originally from New York City is very impressive to me, because that's where I'm ending my life, is in New York City, actually. I'm curious, being a New Yorker, and now you're a Florida girl, was that a nice transition for you? Are you much happier to be there? I know the weather's obviously better, but New York is full of rich of arts and theater and such, so that must have been hugely beneficial going from there to going where you are now.
Well, I got to Florida via Providence, Rhode Island, where I went to Rhode Island School of Design, and after that met my husband. Jeff and I have been married 30 years. And so we've lived down here about 29 years. I was at Ringling College of Art as a vice president, so came down for that position. And first of all, if I never see snow again, that's fine. And
I don't blame you.
And Paul loves to come down here because he gets to wear his shorts in the winter. So we love living in Bradenton. It's such a close-knit community, very artistic and creative. It's right between Sarasota and St. Pete. So there's a lot going for it, and I don't think I'd want to live in New York right now. We live right downtown in a great little house, and so I love living down here. Yeah.
Nice. And I also have noticed about you a few different things. First of all, folks, I can tell you, you're an extremely healthy. I noticed the amount of health food that you ingest or that you post, etc. And I thought to myself, this woman not only eats well and looks terrific for her age, she drinks wine, and I have to admit that that's a huge bonus on the top of my list, of course. But I also found an article about yourself. Now, you had a 400-year-old oak tree in the back of one of your homes. Is that not right? That just blew me away. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I have to ask you about this.
Yeah, amazing. Mm-hmm.
400 years old. How does one come across that, I wonder? My gosh.
Well, it's why we bought that piece of property. And
gotcha.
I know that you're doing some great research. So, Cindy, sometime if you get a chance, you may want to go back to my Facebook and see my 97-year-old dad singing a little obscene German song at our Thanksgiving dinner last night.
Oh, my God. I love it.
Yeah.
I have to do that. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool. You know, and I think what's neat about just all the different things that folks, if you've never been to her wall or have never taken a look at some of this stuff, what is so neat is that she is so nice about promoting not just herself, but other events, other places, other things in the artistic community, which I think is so neat. And you can see that she's living a life that's very exciting and rich, artistically rich, I want to say. And I don't want to forget to mention this because I'm going to guess that you are not a musical person, meaning you don't play an instrument, you don't sing. Am I mistaken, or do you?
Are you talking to me?
I should ask you before. Yeah, I'm talking to you before I continue, and then I'm going to go over to Paul.
No, I'm the visual arts girl. I have an art degree.
That's what I thought.
I've learned a lot from Paul and my husband and the Blues Society about blues music, and I love it to death. But seriously, my background and training is in the visual arts and graphic design, and I play no instrument.
You betcha.
I can't even
that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah,
that's
I can't
what
even
I thought,
sing,
and there's
so.
a reason. Now listen to this, folks. She has gone to Lesley University. She's gone to the Harvard Graduate School of Education, the Rhode Island School of Design, which you mentioned, along with Leatherhead School of Management. So you already know that she is hugely intelligent. She was a graphic designer in the 70s. She worked for the Polaroid Corporation, obviously, of course, the School of Design, and then the Ringling College of Art and Design. And, of course, obviously, she also has her own business, which is Isham and Associates. So here's what I want to ask you. I'm very curious. For a woman who is coming from that background and minus the musical type talent, etc., how did you develop such a love and passion for music that you seem to carry? I mean, it's kind of an interesting dynamic that a woman is artsy, so to speak, but this is direct to music, etc. How did you get involved, or what made you want to work with Real Life Music?
Well, I was recruited. It was a national search, so I was hired to be the founding director. And I think really the bottom line of what we do is we bring people together. And what we found, whether it's music or art or dance, when people can connect with themselves and others, and they don't even have to think they're an artist. So, you know, I've grown to love the blues, and I know a lot about the visual arts and design. And it's all the bottom line for us is it's really building the social capital of a community, people making friends, and just having a great time, which I think is so much needed today.
Oh, my God, yes, right?
Yes.
Oh, I can't even begin to go elaborate about that one. Now, Paul, I'm going to switch over to you because I have a couple questions. Obviously, your background is just a bit different, obviously, of course, because I looked at these accolades and I thought to myself, oh, my gosh, when I was sent the list of things that you're proud of, I'm like, oh, my gosh, he could go on for days for the amount of things that he has done. But the first thing I want to ask you to talk about is, can you tell my listening audience, you have the most wonderful, I've heard, living room setup of anyone as it relates to a musical side of things. So can you just give us a visual of what your living room looks like?
Well, it used to be our son's bedroom, but when he went away to college and that kind of rechanged it around and put a wall in and took a wall out, and I did not have somebody do it for me, but it's kind of my music room. It's different things that were given to me. I don't play, but I do have I think 11 guitars that were given to me by different artists. You know, I got a B.B. King guitar. I got one of Little Milton guitars. I got a guitar from Keith Richards, and so on and so on.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And then they're in my room, and then I have a lot of photographs and stuff around that room. I also have a lot of things, a bunch of harmonicas that were given to me by Charlie Musselwhite and Carrie Bell and Junior Wells, So I've got a lot of. It's like its own little museum, and the ceiling is all drum heads, artists who have played for me at the club, pretty much at the club, and I got I do have a drum set in the room, and with all those guitars, I have a lot of artists who come to my home for when they have an extra day off. I like to have them at my house for a home cooked meal and give them. So I mean, these guys, I've been doing this since '78, and yes, there's a business aspect of it, but most of these artists are my friends as well, and I've been to their homes,
Sure.
they've been to my home. So, and when they get in my living room and they see all that there, and I had all those guitars, so I figured, well, you know what, I might as well put a guitar amp in there, and then I put a bass amp in there and grab the bass guitar. So we've had some pretty good little jams in my living room, and we just a couple weeks ago we did a fundraiser for the Kenny Neal family for the flood victims of Baton Rouge a couple of months ago, and and I had people, Kenny did a concert in my living room, so for
Sure.
A fundraiser for him. So it's got I have musicians and other people who come in and look at that room, and there are pictures from on Facebook from time to time of people who've been in that room and have taken pictures, so you get to see
That's so cool.
what that room looks like, and it's a fun room. I have a lot of fun in there, and there's a lot of history. I mean, it is from the beginning of the Blues Festival in 1994, which was the first North Atlantic. But the first few years before that, it was called the Tradewinds Blues Bash, which I started doing festivals in 1990. So it's kind of my own museum, I guess. Of the history of what's going on in the blues world and in the Rockland, Maine area, so it's kind of hard to describe. It's one of those rooms you got to kind of be in to really
Gotcha.
enjoy. But people have seen photographs of it, and there's always a lot of comments on it. It's something I'm proud of, and it's. My wife won't let me move into any other part of the house, so I sneak a few things in now and then, but
Gotcha.
it's kind of in that one room, but it's like you say, it's a lot of history and a lot of great memories in that room.
Gotcha. And of course, I don't want to forget to mention this. Paul, who you folks know, is chairman of the board for Blues Foundation of Memphis. He's the owner of Benjamin Productions, North Atlantic Blues Records, and of course the co-founder of, I want to talk about this a little bit. Can you talk to the folks a bit about the North Atlantic Blues Festival? Because I know that you're co-founder. So we want to know what that's all about and what brought you to partnering with them. And of course, what's one of the, obviously we don't want to take away from the Bradenton Festival, but tell me something that would draw my audience to coming to that blues festival as well.
I have I get asked why come to Rockland, Maine for a blues festival. I say it's Maine, it's July, it's on the ocean, it's great blues, and we serve lobster.
Oh. Love it. That's awesome. Oh, my
That's
gosh.
a quick answer for that. Now, usually that satisfies most people.
Yeah, it does. Hey, that works for me, as a matter of fact. Benjamin Productions, now, is that just the blanket by which you do all the promotion, or I wasn't clear how many entities are underneath that?
Benjamin Productions, because I do the festival, so it all comes under my umbrella of Benjamin Productions.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of basically covers my all the work I do under Benjamin Productions. I mean, I do each festival has its own. North Atlantic is its own identity. Gloucester Blues Festival is its own, LLC, its own identity. A couple of festivals in Florida are their own identity. And so those festivals, but they all come under my corporate name is under Benjamin Productions.
Gotcha. Okay. And now, as I understand it, Realize Bradenton came to you in terms of partnering, or how did that whole marriage come about, if you will?
I called Paul. And he answered the phone.
Okay, well, it's just
at the
simple.
beginning, a mutual friend of ours, Jack Sullivan, when he decided to move Blues Music Magazine to Bradenton, when he and Johnette was talking about having a festival there, and so Jack got Johnette in contact with me, and I think we might even been on a conference call, but it was 6 years ago, and so they invited me to come down to Bradenton, and I met with Johnette and other groups of people throughout the day, and got to walk the river walk and kind of pick out where the festival, in my opinion, should be. and then we decided they decided to do it and hire me to book their festival, and then and get this get the sound company and get all that stuff in the back line. They take care of all the groundwork that needs to take place in Bradenton. Because obviously I live in Maine, so she takes care of her sponsors and all that stuff and their volunteers. My main job was to hire the entertainment, be there for the festival, be their stage manager once the festival's going. Johnette and I team together and do emceeing for the festival. And so they have, if anybody that's out there listening puts on events, they know, it takes a small army. And so everybody has their jobs. And so once the festival starts, theoretically, Johnette can take a breath, because now during the festival she can cater to who she has to cater to, because she's got her team doing their jobs and that. And they know on my end of it that the festival, the music portion is going to run, is going to be on time, and we're going to get people on and off the stage. And so we have a great working relationship, and and none of the team is afraid to pitch in for somebody else. If somebody needs something, any one of us will pitch in and say, hey, what do you need to do? And because I've done this, I've made every mistake known to man since when I started North Atlantic Festival, back in '94. But the first, from '90 to '93, I did it in the parking lot of a hotel. It was called the Bradenton Blues Bash, is where I had my first club and started doing blues. And then, so I've made every mistake known to man. So after over 25 years of doing festivals, I can help new festivals, because I know what mistakes not to make, and and I'm learning every year. Every do I think I know it all? Absolutely not. No one will ever know anything. What they do. No one's going to ever know it all. If you do, it's time to retire and get out of it, because you can always learn.
Amen.
And so every year I learn something at festivals. Every festival I do, I look at something and say, this worked well, I can do this in Bradenton, but no, I can't do this in Massachusetts, or I can't do this in Rockland, or no, I can't or shouldn't do this in Bradenton. So you're always learning, and so, that whole aspect of keeping it fresh and being willing to listen to other people and share ideas is, and that's one of the bright spots in the blues world, is that the sharing ideas. I talk with other festival promoters all the time, and we'll share ideas of what act really worked well, what act didn't work well, what act is a great club act. They're just phenomenal in the club, but they die on the festival stage.
Gotcha.
And that happens. So so blues promoters and festival promoters and club owners, we're willing to talk and share, and that to me makes us unique from other, instead of thinking it's competition, it's not competition. We're all working. There are a number of festivals in Florida throughout the year, and Bradenton happens to be the last one of the year. But all the other festivals, we talk to each other. All the festival promoters in the Florida area, we share ideas. We talk about artists. And we're not afraid to promote other festivals. We did Camping with the Blues in October, which is a festival that Greg and I put on. But we talked about the Suncoast Blues Festival, which is in January. But we also talked about the Bradenton Festival. We also talked about other festivals in Florida. So, I think that makes us unique from other promoters, because we're willing to share ideas and work together, where other ones are afraid you're going to steal their business. And
one of the things,
blues people just love going to as many events as they can.
And, Paul, the other thing I want to mention, talking with Camping with the Blues, to the point about what brings people back to a festival, you have to have amazing sound and a great stage. And our very good friend, Greg at Mojo Productions, provides the best stages all around the United States, as well as the sound system. He lives actually right here in Bradenton, and he is such a great partner, and he actually hosts the free blues concert that we're doing, the Blues Appetizer. And yeah, and Paul, the other thing that we should speak a little bit about, you can speak better than I can, are how important blues societies are to local blues scenes, because you work with so many, and we've got a great blues society here with Mark Thompson.
Yeah, and Mark just recently got elected to the board of directors of the Blues Foundation, so that's why the Blues Foundation was in Bradenton for our board meeting in the fall. And blues societies are important, and blues societies help keep blues alive. If you get a healthy blues societies always bring in blues acts and have blues promotions and stuff. So blues societies are very, very important to the success of a lot of festivals. And Johnette's very fortunate. She's got a great blues society in the Bradenton area, so they support what they do, and they support that whole area, Bradenton, Sarasota. I mean, it's a very strong hold in the blues world because it's of the strong societies, and they co-promote with other societies throughout throughout Florida. So they get it. They work together, and working together is so important to make anything succeed. The more people you get talking about it, the better chance it has to succeed. I mean, if you keep it hidden and keep it to yourself, that's what happens to it. It stays with you and to yourself, and you can have the best party in the world, but if no one else knows about it, it's not going to last.
And to that point, we give blues societies a special code for each society so that their members can get $5 off the $30 ticket. And that's just a way to give back to the societies that are, some of them bring 50, 60 people. They get buses. We have a few coming in. And so having that discount is a way to say thank you to them.
Oh, that's awesome. Absolutely. And folks, in case you might not know a whole lot about as a testament to Realize Bradenton, 2013, they were Outstanding Public Interest Group. 2014, named Goodwill Ambassador at Public and Societal Benefit Nonprofit. 2015, Night Cities Challenge Award. And then, of course, this actual year in 2016, Nonprofit Organization of the Year. All very, very nice accolades, all very warranted, I must add. I wanted to talk a little bit about, obviously, one of the main reasons this brings us here. Now, I want to let everybody know the Bradenton Blues Festival, which we've been talking about this last hour, it goes from December 2nd to December 4th. It's actually located at the River West Pavilion, which is 452 3rd Avenue West. As you had mentioned, the adult tickets are $30, student rate being $20, and the child rate being $10. Now, correct me if I'm mistaken, is that an online rate, or can they come in person and the rates are the same? I just want to clarify that.
No, the day of the festival rate is $45, so we really encourage people to buy in advance. Okay. We generally sell out, so there's still tickets available at the BradentonBluesFestival.org. Yeah. Gotcha.
And, of course, we want to mention again, of course, not only outside of the food vendors, they've got the specialty craft beers, obviously blues musicians all day on Saturday. Also Friday from 6 to 9 is the Blues Appetizer Contest. And then, of course, on Sunday they have the Gospel Blues Brunch. What time does the brunch start on Sunday?
Well, it starts at 10, but we're sold out.
Okay. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. Then we won't talk about that.
Yeah, but it's going to be fabulous. Doug Deming and the Jewel Tones. So if you were one of the 150 lucky people that got a ticket, it's going to be wonderful. Southern Brunch, Paul and Jean will be there. And my husband, Jeff, so it's going to be great.
Oh, my gosh, how awesome is this? Now, I'm going to go through a rundown of these, so forgive me, give me just a moment to list all this off to the listening audience, because I think it's important to hear of every single place that all of you can be found at. For those that were listening into the Blues Festival, it's called Bradenton Blues Festival. They have a Facebook page with that same name, and the actual website itself is BradentonBluesFestival.org. On the flip side, for the nonprofit, which is Realize Bradenton, bunch of different places. The website is realizebradenton.com. They have a Facebook page, which is Realize Bradenton. They are on YouTube and Pinterest. Their Twitter handle is @RealizeBradenton, and the Instagram being Realize Bradenton. And just so you know, that's spelled BRADENTON. Now, as for you, young lady, you are both on Facebook as well as your LinkedIn profile, which is originally how I found you. And as far as Paul Benjamin, of course, I have the NorthAtlanticBluesFestival.com. You're also on Facebook and YouTube. Have I missed any place where folks can find you guys?
Well, you can find us in Bradenton this Thursday, setting up the festival.
I was just going to say, or you could just go to Florida, because I know that they're both located there, obviously, and both find them, obviously. I have to tell you, folks, that I am very excited that it looks like, with any luck at all, I'm going to get an opportunity to come to Florida to do a live event. It's in a different part of Florida, but it's close enough to where I think both Kim and I could probably come down there and visit. I would love to be able to just see
let us know. That'd
what
be
you
great.
do. I would. I would like to see what you do. I'm a huge proponent for nonprofits, so I kind of want to see the ins and outs of what goes on down there. I hear Florida's lovely. I don't get down there very much in all of my travels, so I want to make it a point to definitely get down and to see you guys, since I'm not going to be there for the live festival, of course. On the flip side of the fence, Mr. Benjamin, when we are off the air, I would love it if we would chat sometime because, ironically, I am organizing my very first independent film festival this coming year for 2017. And so it would be lovely to know people that know people so that we can work together. I'm a huge proponent for live music as well, and so I'm very big on introducing talent to the world, and film festivals are a great genre for that. So I would love to get an opportunity to speak with you about that as far as that goes. And I'm sorry, I have to apologize to both of you that I took away your day after Thanksgiving to come on my show. I mean, I love promoting you, but I feel badly. I'm like, oh gosh, they just had the holiday and all that good stuff. Just out of curiosity, do you think people should wait beyond today to be getting their tickets? I mean, are you foreseeing an actual sellout of everything? Should we be concerned, do you think, in terms of?
Yeah, probably by Thursday night, we'll be close to a sellout. So, and we have a lot of drive-in market. We have people from Atlanta all over. We have 200 zip codes in Florida, so people drive in for this festival and have a great time.
That's awesome.
And when will you be down in Florida?
Well, a lot of it depends. Actually, you might be familiar. Are you familiar with the brewery that is located there? It's in the Wynwood Arts District. Does that ring a bell?
I'm sorry, say that again?
That's okay. Are you familiar with the Wynwood Arts District?
Oh, in Miami?
Yes. Now, how far away is that from you?
Probably about 3.5 hours. It's on the other coast.
Oh, that's not too bad, that. Well, that's not the end of the world, per se, because I'm going to have a vehicle. I'm going down there to do an event at one of the breweries. I did an article for them, and so I'm doing a book signing / live interview. I did a book, and one of the housewives did a book. So we're going to kind of merge heads together. We're going to do a live signing there. And then I thought, well, I'll get together with Kim, and I'm like, well, let's go wander around and all that good stuff. Because oftentimes when people come on my show, I never get to meet them in person. So when I know I'm going to another state, I'm like, well, let's make it a point to go meet and whatever have you and all that good stuff. So it will be a lovely opportunity to kind of see what you have to offer and to kind of see how things turned out with the festival as far as that goes. And Paul, unfortunately, I don't get to Maine ever. I don't even think I know where Maine is, unfortunately. But I try to get around
I'm in Florida quite a bit because I do 3 festivals down there. I'm down here in the month of January as well. So I mean, I'm in Florida at different times. So maybe we're down there at the same time and we can hook up. So
exactly. Definitely, and you're
welcome to call me anytime on the other project you're working on. I'd be happy to talk to you.
I appreciate that.
Anytime.
That would be lovely. Absolutely. Well, great. Certainly. Well, I'm crossing my fingers and wishing you tons of success. I'm so excited for you. I think that you've done a tremendous job. In case no one has told either one of you, thank you so much for your contributions to the artistic world, for your contributions as it relates to helping youth coming up and having an appreciation for music and all things art. You should be patted on the back and commended for having such a love for what you do. And I know, even though I haven't met you, I appreciate all of your efforts. I'm certain this year will be a success. I'm very excited, crossing my fingers for both of you. Certainly. I'll try to send as much business as I can your way. And certainly know that my platform is open to you. Anytime you want to come back, promote one of your events, one of your artists, please feel free to keep me in the loop as far as that goes. And I'll be in touch, of course, with both of you once I get closer to the date of coming in town.
All righty.
We appreciate what you do to help people and everything you do a lot.
Thank you so much. And Paul, I'll see you in a few days, buddy.
Yeah, in a few days.
Sounds
in
wonderful.
A couple of minutes, I've got to make my way down back to the public landing in Rockland, and we have the actual Christmas tree lighting thing tonight with the world's largest lobster trap tree, and so I got to be down there.
Cool.
So we built it last week, and we're lighting it tonight with Santa's arrival. So that's why I asked to be on the air earlier, so instead of being.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. Yeah, and this worked out nicely because I did Ilana first, and now I've done you guys, and now everybody can go off and enjoy their weekend, and I can decorate my house because now it's finally quiet. Everybody's gone, interviews are done. I'm like, I'm all set. Good luck to you guys. I will be talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
Okay, folks, was this awesome or what? Oh, my gosh. Let me just go through and remind everybody again one more time. Paul Benjamin, it's NorthAtlanticBluesFestival.com. Obviously, of course, Realize Bradenton, which is, of course, the nonprofit. They can be found at realizebradenton.com, the Facebook page, Realize Bradenton, on YouTube, Pinterest. The Twitter is at Realize Bradenton, and the Instagram, again, Realize Bradenton. For the Blues Festival itself, their website is BradentonBluesFestival.org. Facebook, Bradenton Blues Festival. One more time for Ilana, which is, of course, one of the featured artists this coming weekend for the festival, which again runs from December 2nd through the 4th. Ilana Katz Katz. The website is ilanakatz.com. Facebook, Ilana Katz Katz. She's on Goodreads, YouTube, Google+, Amazon, iTunes, CD Baby, and Twitter at @Katz, it's K-E-T-Z, Katz, @KatzKatz. Do not want to forget one more time to say a special thanks to Kim with the Eclipse Group is the name of her promotion company. She does PR for there. Kim is her name. I am so excited, Kim, that I have hosted your very first 3 clients. I hope that I did justice for them, and I hope I did a good job for you. Thank you so much for bringing all of your talent onto my show. I'm very excited that we have a new relationship working together, and I think you're just a doll, but I think you already know that. I want to say thanks so much to the listening audience, because they're cutting me off in 90 seconds. Thank you so much to my listening audience for actually taking the time on a holiday weekend to listen in to me for an extensive interview. I am now officially off, back on air on the 29th, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. That would be musician Danny Sylvester, and that's Sylvester, Sylvestre, 1 o'clock Central Time on Tuesday. You guys enjoy your wonderful weekend off, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
What you doing? Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Hey up there, it's me, your crotch. My living conditions down here are deplorable. The itch and burn are too much. Scrub me with medicated Fungi Cure Wash when you shower and say hasta la vista to jock itch. Get Fungi Cure Wash at Walmart and Rite Aid. Do it now!